Good evening. It's Sunday, March 9th. It's my pleasure and honor to be speaking with the true World War II hero, Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today, Mr.
Well, we're doing great. We're doing great.
You're looking well.
Yeah.
In your new pants, your heavy-duty sweatshirt. How are you doing? Really good today?
We're
I
ready.
heard you had a special visitor.
Amber, yeah.
What a wonderful girl. She was here all day.
Yeah.
What a gem. Amber Nicole Jeckovich is John J. Jeckovich's great-granddaughter. She's somewhere in her 20s. She's a very nice girl, an avid surfer and a missionary. And she comes quite a haul to see Mr. Jeckovich, and lately it's been almost every day. What a fine example she sets for everybody. What a fine example she sets for everybody. Yes, she does. Wow. How many pages is your book, Mr. Jeckovich?
849.
Wow. Must have taken you a long time to write it. Must have taken you a long time to write it.
No.
Well, I'll start reading. We're on chapter 2, a couple pages, and then we have a whole slew of questions from Texas that I have to ask you. You feel up to answering?
Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead.
So what's the password? Is your dog tag number? What's
42965.
Okay, all right. By the way, Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich believes in the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today's a gift. Yes, it is. Today is a gift. Mr. Jeckovich said he blinked his eyes at 20, and he's already 100 years old in 2025. So I say to all you, it's a short dance around the sun, boys and girls. Enjoy every day, right?
Right?
Enjoy every day, yeah. Well, here we go. We're going to pick up on, let's see. We're going to pick up on, I believe, page 19. This is when Mr. Jeckovich is just a boy, and he started to work at Croysdale's with his Uncle Andy. After several weeks, instead of changing sections, as was usually the case, Charlie informed me that I'd be working steady with Uncle Andy.
Yeah.
I later found out that Uncle Andy had requested me permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I learned a lot working with my Uncle Andy and was constantly amazed at the skill he displayed in doing the work. While working with him, I found out, to my surprise, he had only gone to the 3rd grade.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, it's amazing. I guess schooling isn't for everybody, but
natural talent. Natural talent.
Natural talent, yeah. Natural talent. Yeah. Natural talent. He could do intricate mathematical layouts in a shop and then take these fabrications and install them on the job safety site perfectly. Like, for example, natural talent is a God-given talent. Like, for example, many kids around the world for hundreds of years have taken piano lessons and they still have no talent.
No.
They couldn't play if they tried. Yet, a famous pianist named Liberace never took a piano lesson in his life.
Yeah, and natural talent.
Natural talent. Another example, you have some of these parents buying these young boys, 11, 12, 13, 14, baseball bats. Baseball bats for kids are very expensive now, for $1,000, and giving them lessons on how to play ball.
Yeah.
With the hope of someday being major league players. Well, 99.9% of the time it doesn't work out. But let's look at the other end of the spectrum. We have young boys that are living complete poverty in South America, and they have a tree branch for a bat, and they have an orange or an apple for the baseball. They don't even own a baseball glove. Yet, when they turn 18, 19, 20, their natural talent automatically get them in the major leagues, making millions of dollars a year. They don't even speak the language.
Yeah.
Well, the other child that the parents bought those $1,000 bats and all the black eyeshadow under their eyes and sent them to all those batting schools and pitching schools. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing came out of it. So we're talking about natural God-given talent. And there was two great examples. Two great examples. Liberace with the piano and young boys living in the dire straits, a complete ghetto, using a tree branch and an orange or an apple for their baseball, and automatically most of them came right into the major leagues. Millions of dollars a year. While the other ones are just basically watching the game on TV.
Yeah.
Natural talent's a very important thing. Natural talent. Yeah, it's very important. He could do intricate mathematical layouts in a shop and then take the same fabrications and install them on a job site perfectly. On several occasions, he would drop me off from work at his home, and I'd walk home from there. Was your walk home from your Uncle Andy's house a long distance?
No, he just across the bridge, that little wood bridge there, that's it.
Who made that bridge? You have any idea?
The city made that bridge.
Is that bridge still there today?
I don't know, I haven't been up there.
That's the creek you would skate on.
Jill Creek, yeah.
That's the creek. On Sunday, December 7th, 1941, you were playing hockey on the creek.
I heard Pearl Harbor was there.
Pearl Harbor. And your mother came over and said, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to be going.
Yeah.
And you did have to go, right?
Yeah.
And the youngsters at that time went gladly. They went with glee to protect their country. There was no one running to Canada. There was no one making up excuses like clubfoot or any of the other BS. They went readily, happily to serve their country. And 2 days after that, the United States, after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, entered the war. Prior to that, we're on something called the Lend-Lease program, when the United States was supplying lots of money and ammunition and weapons to Europe to fight off the Nazis, but then they said at that point, enough is enough. And by the way, we had 16 million, wow, 400,000 young men and women participating in that war from the United States. Today, 80-some years later, combat veterans, we only have about 6,000 or less left. 6,000 or less left. And Mr. Jeckovich is one of them, and we're losing them at a rate of 150 per day. Most of them are in their late 90s, early 100s. We're losing them at a rate at 150 per day. So soon, there won't be these World War II vets you could ask questions to or text all your questions to. Mr. Jeckovich's mind is like a library. He's been through everything from A to Z. And he wrote the book to make money?
No.
No. Did you ever charge anyone for a book?
No.
No, never charge. It's not about that. There was never a price on the book. It was to share Mr. Jeckovich's life, let the people be educated, youngsters, about World War II, and maybe make their life a little bit easier. And maybe make their life just a tad bit easier. That's what the book is about. We've read the book now for over a year and a half. There's probably like 470 podcast, and all of it has good information. And we answer, Mr. Jeckovich will answer every text message Every text message he'll give you an answer to, good or bad. You can sometimes call him if you want to talk to him live. So that's what it's about, educating younger people. Mr. Jeckovich looks forward to the studio time. Oh, by the way, we're in Studio 6E today. He looks forward to studio time every day to help others. That's what it's about. Never was about money. Never will be about money. Oh, by the way, one of Mr. Jeckovich's original copies of the book is at the World War II Museum in New Orleans, Louisiana. We've been working on it for the last year to do an AI setup where you'll see Mr. Jeckovich live, same mannerisms he has today, same voice, same everything, where you can ask him questions many years from now and he'll answer. But now, you know, it's AI. You never know what kind of mistakes AI makes. But now you have the real deal. Ask Mr. Jeckovich the questions now while he's here. Look on your TV screen. He's all around the world. We've had text messages from Japan, Greenland, China, Ireland, South America, Florida, California. You name it, we receive text messages. And the best one we have so far was a youngster, not a youngster, he was about 25 or 30 years old. He responded to our readings standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, and he gave, it's on one of our podcasts, and he gave a 10 or 15-minute speech thanking Mr. Jeckovich for liberating France. Mr. Jeckovich was one of the thousands of soldiers that liberated France because the Nazis controlled it for 4 years. And this young fellow from Paris told a beautiful story about, and thanking Mr. Jeckovich for liberating France. And he did that right in front of the Eiffel Tower. An interesting side note about the Eiffel Tower, when the Nazis took over France for 4 years, Hitler wanted to take a ride on the elevator up to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Yet the workers, the longtime workers at the Eiffel Tower, told Hitler that the elevator's busted.
Yeah.
And so as a long result, Hitler had to take a long walk to the top. Long top to the top. And then after the Nazis were run out of France, Paris, the French resistance started. And Mr. Jeckovich has close contacts from the French resistance because one of his close friends became a former Roman Catholic nun, and she joined the French resistance, and she took Mr. Jeckovich to the French resistance headquarters. And where were they?
There?
Where were the French resistance headquarters?
Down in the sewer someplace.
And how did Renee, the former nun, gather information?
Well, she's a good portrait photographer, drawer. And these top brass Germans, top brass Germans want to come and get interviewed with her, take her, draw her picture. And as she's talking, they were talking among themselves, she's pick up a lot of information. Okay. Then she would relay the information to the allies.
Yeah, that's a good point. When Renee was in the convent, she received notification. Now picture this, she's a young girl, 20, 21. She's in the Roman Catholic convent, and she receives notifications. This is when the Nazis were occupying Paris, that your mother and father were just killed by the Nazis and probably tortured. Her parents could have been no more than 39 or 40. So she took that quite hard. And then about a month later, she received another notification. Her young teenage brothers were also tortured and killed by the Nazis. At that time, Renee left the convent, and she went back to the studio apartment in Paris, and she was a wonderful artist, a God-given talent artist. She could really paint portraits, right?
15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, portraits, yeah.
And she would set up her studio in her apartment on the second floor. And when Germany was still occupying, the Nazis were still occupying Paris, These guys had great big egos, the SS, top brass. And she'd be painting their portraits, and they would be bragging about this and bragging about that. And Renee would become a member of the French resistance at this time, and she took it to the upper echelon of the French resistance, and they gained a lot of information by Renee painting portraits. But eventually it caught up to her. What fairly happened to Renee?
Oh, they took her on the wood and shot her.
Took her, and that was the end of it. A beautiful, fine lady, a beautiful artist, beautiful former nun. She was run hard through the system when the Nazis, destroy everything. There's nothing the Nazis have not destroyed. Nothing. All the Jews. Jews were in a bad place at a bad time. Jews were the great people, but they were in a bad place at a bad time, and the Nazis killed about 9 million of them. Yeah, killed about 9 million of them. So that was an interesting story. But what was your thoughts when you met Renee at the lake, when she was no longer a nun, watching these boys playing with a sailboat? When you went to her apartment for the first time, what was your thoughts and your feelings when you're sitting in the studio surrounded by SS and German officers' portraits?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think she got something going on someplace.
So you were worried, right?
Yeah.
You could have been being set up.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out that way. She was the one gathering information. Mr. Jeckovich, by the way, met Renee when he was recovering from bomb blast, still a shrapnel in his leg, and a sniper shot him in the shoulder. He was recovering in Paris hospital. He met her by accident at a lake, and they became quite good friends. And they spent a lot of time together. And then when Mr. Jeckovich was moved from the Paris hospital to rehabilitation about 60 miles north of Paris, Mr. Jeckovich visited Renee almost daily. But listen, how he had to get there. He had to take a bus to the train station. From the train station, he'd get off in Paris, and then he'd have to take a taxi to see Renee. He had 3 levels of transportation he had to go, and then he had to be back usually that night, right?
Yeah.
Were you ever late?
Nope.
You never
Made roll call every day.
Made roll call every day. Wow. That's amazing. And what type of places did you take Renee in Paris when the Nazis were no longer there? What kind
I took her to restaurants to eat, and we took her. She had a car, an old car, and we drove around the city, around the country, and that.
And what kind of food did she serve you at the restaurants?
A lot of brains.
Brains. Were those brains from a pig or a cow?
A cow.
Cow. Didn't your mother make brains also?
My mother made brains too, but they doctor them up. They put stuff in them. You never know it's brains.
What other kind of food did you eat there?
What other foods?
Yeah.
Potatoes, and a lot of fresh stuff that they grow in the field in their backyard or something.
Okay. So the cafes, after the Nazis were run out, were wide open.
Yeah.
But there's air raids almost every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what type of planes did you see flying over?
Spitfires.
And what else?
Spitfires, and well, there was rotation. The Americans would fly at night, and the British and the French would fly in the daytime.
So they were bombing the hell out of Berlin.
Oh yeah, they destroyed it. They destroyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. There was nothing left. Yeah. And what were your feelings when the Spitfires flew over your head?
They got a real eeky sound out of it. They got that fire coming out of the back of their tail.
And what type of engines were the Spitfires using?
What?
What type of engines?
Night goggles.
What type of engines were in the Spitfires? Who made the engines for the Spitfires?
Rolls Royce.
And they're still making airline engines today?
Oh yeah.
Wow. So did you enjoy Haverford West, Paris, or Owensboro, Kentucky the most? What spot did you enjoy the most?
Well, Owensboro was my hometown. Paris, I just saw for a couple of 2 years or 3 years. I was in the hospital there for a while. But my roots are back home.
How about Haverford West?
Haverford West, yeah.
Did you enjoy it there?
Oh, yeah. Owensboro, Kentucky.
Well, let me speak about Owensboro, Kentucky. Mr. Jeckovich was a newbie in basic training not far from Owensboro, and he met a beautiful girl named Ann Mahaney. They were dating for quite a while. They met by accident for several months, and then Mr. Jeckovich said, "I'll contact you again soon." Well, as we know, time flies. It was 87 years later you contacted her.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, she's 89 years old.
She was in her 90s.
In the 90s, yeah.
How did that go? How did that go?
And she, after I talked to her for a while, explaining to her who I was, she got who I was, but she was a little flabbergasted because she couldn't put it together.
Dementia?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alzheimer's. So anyways, almost 80 years later, Mr. Jeckovich fulfilled his promise that he would call her again. She did answer the phone, by the way. It's hard to believe. She did answer the phone, and the conversation was short. It didn't go well. I believe she was suffering with dementia, and she passed away a short time afterwards. For many, many years, 50, 60 years, Mr. Jeckovich prominently displayed Annie Mahaney's picture in his office. After that phone call, Mr. Jeckovich, what happened?
Well, I took her picture down, put my mother up there.
And where'd you put Annie's picture?
I wrapped up in a towel and put it in the filing cabinet.
When Mr. Jeckovich removed Miss Mahaney's picture, it was all stained in yellow from being there for so long. Then he put his mother's picture up. And the reason why the story is it gets back to his book. Their mother's sons. Everything from 11 years old to Mr. Jeckovich is in almost 100 revolved around his mother. Mr. Jeckovich was a sole provider for his mother because the father died at 43, working like a slave, 3 different jobs to provide a better life for his children. And he basically worked himself to death.
Yeah.
In the cement he fell, which he was making a sidewalk or something. And that was it at 43. And his mother was on their own. There was no type of government benefits. Of course, they wouldn't accept him anyways. But you're on your own, right? So when your father died, tell us how that worked out. When the police
They called my mother. The police called my mother at home at 8 o'clock that night, and my mother was working.
So they came and got you.
He got me and they took me down to said we're going to take you down and see your father.
Okay, so the police put you in
and then they
the
said
car.
we're going to take you down.
Yeah, but listen, let me just stop. The police put you in a car. They came to your house, you're 11 or 12, and where did the police put you, in the front seat or the back seat?
In the police car?
Yeah.
In the back seat.
And then they did what?
They drove me to the hospital.
And did they walk you to the front desk or they just dropped you off?
They just dropped me off. And I asked where my father was. They said, "I'll take you down."
Okay, so you walked from the police car to the front desk of the hospital, and you thought your father had broken a
Oh yeah.
He was upstairs recovering. So when you went to the receptionist, which way should she go?
She went down.
And what were you thinking when she was going
I
down?
said, "She's going down." I got a little uneasy.
I imagine so. And where did she take you?
Down to the morgue.
And they had you identify your father?
Yeah. Looked through his pockets and all that.
Was his eyes closed or open?
Closed.
And did he have cement on him?
He scratched his little head in there and something on his face. Nothing great.
So they asked the 11 or 12-year-old boy to identify the body, and then they said what? Take what's in his pockets?
Yeah,
It's
look
yours.
through his pockets.
And what was in his pocket?
Well, he had a can of Prince Albert there and the paper that rolls it up. He had the keys to the house, and he had a couple quarters. No dollar bills or nothing. Quarters and a couple dimes.
How about his wedding ring?
His wedding ring was still on his finger.
5 minutes.
And what did you do with the wedding ring?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I put it in a box, a little trinket box, and I put it in the filing cabinet.
And eventually your mother got it, right?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. And so from that point on, this is where the book begins, their mother's sons. Mr. Jeckovich had to take care of his mother because there's no one else to do it. In fact, one of the sacrifices he made when his both brothers enlisted, an older brother and a younger brother enlisted during World War II, you get a better position. When you enlist, you can pick a little bit better. You get a better and safer position. One of the brothers enlisted, and he never left the state. He went and taught kids, other fellow soldiers, how to drive.
Jeeps, yeah.
What an easy job.
Yeah.
What an easy gift. Well, Mr. Jeckovich, he did not enlist. Why didn't he enlist? Here's the reason why. He wanted to spend more time with his mother, so he figures, I'll wait till I get drafted. But then the sacrifice is this. You're going to go on the front line. You're not going to get drafted and teach kids how to drive a Jeep or a truck. You are going on the front line, right?
Yeah, you're not a recruit, that's all.
You're going to go on the front line. I got a lot of text messages. Do you feel up to it?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now remember, they come from all walks of life. So if you don't want to answer any of them, don't.
Okay.
Because you'll never know. It might be important to the person sending it, but it might not be important for you, or might not be a proper question. Mr. Jeckovich, during the World War II, you probably shot 1 million rounds with your machine guns. Prior to going into the war, did you have a gun?
I had a gun and I had nothing at home. My father didn't go hunting, so we didn't have any pistols or rifles or nothing at home.
After the war, did you buy a gun?
No.
Only time you had a gun during your 100 years of living was during World War II.
In the service, yeah.
2.5.
I see. What do you think about all these people today having 15 guns to a household? 15, 20 guns to a household.
And they get them in their car, too.
Yeah.
They're not at ease with where they're living.
Yeah. Wow. Name a person from history that you admire the most.
Admire? Patton.
George Patton. By the way, Mr. Jeckovich has had an interesting story where he has a run-in with George Patton. Tell us about your one-time run-in with George Patton.
Well, we pulled up, and I told Post, Cabot Clyde's the Jeep and the trailer, so nobody sees it. Well, Patton picked it up, and we were sleeping in the barn, and he found us, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, rain outside. He said, get your ass up and get the hell out, go up in the checkpoint. Get out of here, go.
Oh, that was the only running you had with him, right?
Yeah.
But did you have, before Patton came into the barn and ran you guys off, he was a very aggressive general, by the way.
That's when they were trying to get those troops there within like 2 days.
Yeah, he was but he did a great job. You never had a run-in with him again, right?
Well, he got on the other side. They were trying to cross that Rhine River, and somehow he got across the side there, and he pissed in there, and the top echelon saw him. He said, "What the hell is he doing over there?" He said, "We're trying to look for a soft spot to go over, and he's over there now." And he's waving at him.
Yeah, he was very aggressive. They said, "George General, you can never make it over. You don't have the equipment." He made it over, and Patton loved a lot of publicity. He had 2 newspaper reporters here with the camera, and he whipped it out when he made it to the other side and pissed. He was basically pissing on all his other generals that said he couldn't do it. And that was a good point you knew about that. That's wonderful.
23 seconds.
Wow. But listen, he wanted to go to the Pacific after the European theater ended, but...
Well, he's competing with Eisenhower.
Yeah. He never made it to the Pacific.
No, he got killed, yeah.
5 seconds.
He got killed, yeah.
We'll pick it up again tomorrow.
Well, you got another one in the books.
Okay.